Bethesda just announced Rage 2, a sequel to the original game that I'm pretty sure nobody actually played. Is it gonna be good? Is it gonna be bad? Well, let's go to a hot take. Now, personally, I was a fan of the original game to a certain extent. The game actually wasn't great, and there was a lot of problems with it, especially with its use of id Tech 5. That engine just seemed to have so many issues when it came to running on PCs, and I believe its use of mega textures also was a problem. The game engine was used quite well in Wolfenstein: The New Order, but outside of that, well, it just didn't seem to fly with a lot of other things. Seriously though, Rage 2 I think is going to be a far better game than the original because we've got a company that seems to be a little bit more familiar working with the open world right now. Initially, Rage 1 was developed by id Software internally, and Rage was basically their first sort of open world game, even though it really wasn't, and it still kind of had this very big corridor shooter aspect to it that just worked in some instances but not in others. The gunplay in the game was originally very good, but everything else just kind of fell through. And with Rage 2, Avalanche Studios is a far more capable company when it comes to open world games because, well, they created Just Cause and another game that's actually very important to this whole Rage 2 thing. If you saw the trailer for Rage 2, you probably noticed it kind of looks like Mad Max. And the folks at Avalanche Studios, well, they actually made the last Mad Max game that got released. Which is cool, because that means they're probably a lot more familiar with the universe than any other developer out there right now. Now, this is something that I think is going to be very important, because where id Software failed on a lot of fronts for Rage, I believe Avalanche is going to be able to make a far better game. Now, with all that being said, a lot of problems with Rage exist in its storyline, exist in its characters, and honestly, its car combat was pretty bad. I'm hoping that Avalanche makes a far better game because, well, they know what car combat is like in an open world environment due to the Just Cause series that they created. And Mad Max also had car combat, so that kind of plays into it as well. See, what Rage 1 was missing was that whole open world aspect that it really didn't have. It was a kind of faked open world that really didn't feel like you could explore everything. It felt like a very linear path that just didn't really work for me. With Rage 2, I think there's a way for them to make a very cool game here, but again, there is an issue overall that I'm thinking a lot of people are gonna have with this. When you see Rage 2, don't you just think of Fallout? Right? Cause I do. It looks very much like a Fallout game. There's some apocalyptic disaster and a whole bunch of people are trying to survive in this whole new wasteland, and there are a bunch of people, according to the first game, that came out of vaults, which is so close to what Fallout is. And Bethesda's not gonna sue themselves because they also own the Fallout franchise, so I just find it kind of weird. I actually hope that if this game is successful, we can see a reason for this series to exist. Otherwise, I think Avalanche should have got the rights to Fallout and made a whole new game series using that Fallout engine. We just don't get enough Fallout games, and we definitely didn't ask for another Rage game, so here we are. Personally, I think this game has a good chance. I'm a little hesitant and maybe it's not gonna work out, but we'll find out soon enough. For everyone else out there that doesn't know what Rage is, maybe don't play the first game and just hope the sequel's a lot better.